Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to play again in my little journal here, which is, the themed is stitching with Jennifer, and the idea, I guess the concept behind it is a botanist is traipsing around the world on a big tall ship, recording what he sees, and he has snippets of lace and treasures from his dear wife who's back at home. So that's sort of the premise of the whole, I guess, concept. I tend to create a bit of a story in my mind when I do projects, and it helps me stay focused. If you haven't noticed already, my brain's a bit all over the place. So when I do projects that are sort of out of midair, I like to sort of confine myself a little bit within a bit of a storyline. So this project's been going for some time, and I pick it up every so often and just do a little bit of a stitchery in it that is focused on Jennifer's books that now we have the fourth one. So I thought, in celebration of the fourth one, we need to pull this little journal out and get stitching again. Before we get into that and creating my background and sort of see where we go, a lot of people, when I do this little video series, ask me about the actual journal. And there's so many new, excuse me guys, there's so many new people to our world of slow stitch, embroidery, fancy work, all of the above, fabric collaging, it's all mushed in together, that ask me. So I thought, before I get started and just assume you all are up to speed, this little journal I created out of a Reader's Digest. They're commonly available, they're everywhere. They're usually really cheap in all the thrift stores. So I remember when I was doing junk journaling, I picked up about 40 of the things and I made them into heaps of journals for a charity giveaway, and I've still got a heap of them left. So they've sort of been dragged into my stitching world because I love the size of them. It's not overwhelming. It's a perfect place for, as Jennifer does in her daily stitching, just a little something. So let's show you how I made it. I won't go full on into the steps, but it'll be enough for you to at least, you know, have a play. So there's my old vintage Reader's Digest. The first thing I do is get rid of the spine. The spine's not valuable to me because the spine needs to be probably bigger than what that. You could use the spine if you are going to do maybe 4 stitcheries. Got to remember with our stitcheries is they are quite chunky, especially if you're like me and add heaps of stuff to them. So I don't like to be inhibited by the spine. So that goes. All I want is the firm cover. Now at this point, it's up to you how much you cover this. You might find one that's a beautiful colour. I don't mind this green, so I'd be tempted not to cover the cover and maybe just collage it with some additional fabrics or papers. There's so many great digital kits out there that give you beautiful backgrounds. But let's say you want to do it like this and you do want to cover it. I would then go find myself a nice big piece of calico, muslin. Look, you could use anything, quilting fabrics, tea towels, whatever you want. This piece here would then be, let's do the front first. I'd apply glue here, and my favourite, my go-to, is just a craft glue stick. I'm just leaning over to grab it. I get this one from Officeworks in Australia, also available at our Woolworths, Coles. I love it because it is blue. It goes on blue and dries clear, so I know exactly where I have not been. Once I've covered the entire, and be liberal, don't be stingy, really cover it. I then get my piece of fabric with a little bit of an overlap, doesn't need to be much, and get that seated into position. If the glue comes through, don't stress, because that is an additional piece of work attached to it. So you don't need to be precious that, oh, now I've got glue peeking through. don't worry about. So let's pretend that that is glued onto there. Then I would glue down that. I might as well do it. What the hang? So we're getting sidetracked. Get rid of the book because we're going to have sticky mess everywhere. Might as well show you. Is that the fabric we want to use? No, I should use calico because that is only one piece and it's not enough to do both. Oh my goodness, now we're off on a tangent. I was going to stitch. Hold the horses, guys. Back in a sec. I'm back. Right, talk about get sidetracked so easily, but it's all good. I get so many little questions in the comments, which are great. Like, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. So it sort of reminds me that we just assume that we've all been stitching together for so long, but there's all these new people. So, you know, sometimes it pays just to go back to basics and explain, Corinne, what you're doing. So I've grabbed myself some calico, we call it in Australia, but it's muslin in other countries. But you can use anything. I tend to use this as my basis for anything because I love the colour. It's readily available. I'm always picking it up in opportunity stores, thrift stores, from ex-crafters. So it just seems to come to me in meters and meters of the stuff. So I'm doing a rough tear to size. Okay, now let's get something to protect our wall mat because that would be fortuitous good idea. Okay, so like I was saying, now you can give this a light sand if you decided that it was a bit shiny. You could rough it up with a bit of sandpaper. I'm just going to go straight on. By the time I stick all my fabric and stitchery bits into it, it all just holds together. You probably can't see the blue, but it's there. So if you have Jennifer's new book and you'd like to do some stitching, create yourself just a little journal so that it's not a big project and you can pick it up then whenever you feel like doing a little bit of stitching. I know once I watch one of Jennifer's videos come up, it's like, oh gosh, better get that out and have another play. So there's the cover on. Then I just bring the sides up. You could try and remove that, but if it's secure, just leave it. That piece of paper. It's as simple as that. And these books are everywhere in Australia. I don't know about you guys, but wasn't it a subscription or something? I remember Grandma getting them. When we cleared her house out when she went into a nursing home, she had heaps of them. And they must have been incentivising people or rewarding people because there was like all these random gifts that were branded with Reader's Digest. And now they're all ending up in the thrift stores. And I love them. They're just a tough little book. Not too big. Great for little adventures, little stitching adventures. I'm a bit of a fan of a hardcover journal underneath all my stitching. I think it's because I like something to grip onto. So to have that, I really like it. I have soft cover journals back when I first started and I was doing Sew for the Soul with Anne Brooks. I have, let me just snip this while we're snipping. So before I go off on a tangent story-wise, I'm just snipping out the excess fabric. So I use the book edge as my, oh, I just had a strong coffee and it's kicking in. No wonder I've gone off on a tangent. That explains everything. So I snip right against the book cover. Then I come in about, look at the shake, Oh my goodness, I got go juice now. That's probably why I can't relax to stitch. I've gone off and started making another journal. Oh my goodness, shocker. I do have videos out there on making these, but no, well, you know, can't hurt to have another journal. So I'm just going to, and I'd say we'll all be playing with the Jennifer new release. Any excess you can get rid of, go for it. So won't hurt to have a base journal there, because you never know what adventure will ensue. Now we're getting ready to put that down. I do that little snip. There's other ways of doing it. You can take corners out and bookend fold it and all sorts, but this is the best way for me because I never seem to see the end of the book because there's that little folded edge there. So it's secure and I like that. The bulk is gone, so it sits really nicely. Right, look, really good. Let's do the other side. And then the next thing you've got to have a think about is the spine. Now, I'm a bit of a fan of a tab spine, usually 3 tabs, because I like to see the edge of all my work. So that's where I would head with this, but you can do bigger spines where the whole spine of your book is one piece, but I like 3 little tabs, and I like to stitch into those 3 little tabs before they even make it to the book. Just makes for an interesting side of it when it's sitting there looking, you know, at you on the shelf. Let's just quickly do this one. Are we going to get to stitching? Hope so. When I came in here to film, I picked up my iPad and it was black, which is never a good sign. And I'm like, no, what is going on? But it was just that the power that I plugged into it wasn't plugged in properly. So it's been sitting there charging overnight, but not actually charging. So it was flat, dead battery. And I was like, well, what am I going to do now? I need to film. So I decided to grab some Parisian essence and dye some laces. I've got lately a lot of crocheting lace, all sorts of bits and bobs, but they're very polar white. So I thought, I'm just going to mix up a brew and dye it. And I also dyed Susanna's new panel, which she's using for her retreat next March in Ballarat. It's got the bunny and the mushrooms and, you know, on it. And I want to grungy it up a little bit, something a bit different. So I thought, well, I need to do that. And then I'll have a brew of Parisian essence mixed up. Why do I use Parisian essence? I got a bottle of it left from my journaling days because I used to use it for paper dyeing. So I tend to like the tone of it. You can use coffee tea, you can use rust, you know, there's heaps of different ways you can dye fabric, but I just like the colour tone of it. It's got a bit of a chocolatey undertone to it, a warm undertone. So I thought, well, I'll dye this tea towel. I think I forgot to talk about my soft cover journals too. I'll come back to that. And why I like hardcover. Yeah, so I mixed up a brew, popped it in. I don't tend to use coffee much anymore. It's too valuable to use. So, no, not at all. It's, I don't know, I just went to Parisian Essence and it's sitting in the laundry. And it's just my go-to, quick slush it around. I don't have to mix it much. It just straight away instant colour. I don't use tea because I don't have tea bags in the house unless there's a guest coming that drinks tea. So there can be, and I find tea a little bit soft in colour, so you've got to use a lot of tea bags. I sort of stopped using them, thinking, no, I need instant bang, Parisian essence it is. Just got to give your pieces a really good wash. But if you haven't tried it, and you can pick some up online. A lot of the grocery stores in Australia don't sell it anymore. It's a cooking essence, like vanilla. It's made by those companies. Queen's, I think, is my brand. Just something a bit different. I don't know where I got the idea from. Yonks ago. So, yeah, soft cover journals. This was all with Anne Brooks when I first sort of started sewing again, like this type of sewing. I just find that I like it firmer in my hand, basically. I went for a period of time there where I could feel like my hands were stiffening and joints were, you know, starting to ache. And I find then when I was picking things up, occasionally I'd drop things and I was like, what's going on? I've since got on top of it. I was low on magnesium. So I got a good hit of magnesium and really good. All the inflammation went. But I found that when I was picking things up, the journals that had this in them were a lot better for me to handle than a soft cover journal. That was only reason. It was just, didn't realise at the time that I was starting to get aches and pains and it affected my grab. So, yeah. And since then, I haven't really made a soft one since. Okay, so let's get back to where we were. So we now have our base covered. You could put a piece of calico here and here, but I would tend to get stitching and something would go there eventually, you know, ready to go. This piece here I've done because I want to have a flip out. So I've torn a piece of calico that is exactly that, and then with the half is here. So what I mean by that is, might as well show you. Gosh, we're never going to get stitching. So that piece goes there. I like to have a landscape size piece of fabric on the inside of my covers because it gives you the ability to do a bigger piece of work. So just rough tear, don't overthink it, guys. So that is the right length. Fold it in half. So now you've got a flip out. This comes from my journaling days, creating flip outs. So this is just the base. So I would then add here, or the threads, I would add here. So if it's the inside cover, my fold's on this side. If it's the outside cover, the back cover, my fold's here. So that would go there like that. So let's pretend that that glue one side down, and I've now got a cheeky little hidey spot for a little stitchery. And we'd do the same to that guy. Before you glue it, you add your tabs. So let's get another scrap piece of fabric. This here came off the side of it. Oh, now I'm feeling really hot. That's that coffee. So depending on how thick you want your spine, this little one here, it's quite generous because I have a feeling this book will become quite a thick little book. So the spine itself's 2.5 inches, but hidden in here and in here is probably another inch. So that would then, so 2.5 inches I'm seeing, then there's another inch and another inch. So let's make it roughly 5 inches. It's probably too generous, but we need 2 of them. That's close enough. So that will be the start of the tab spine. So this is where you've got to decide, do you want 3, 2, 1? If it's 1, that piece would come further down, right? If it's 2, you might want to reduce it to that or leave it at that. No, you'd want to reduce it. So that would knock that size back to about 2 inches. You'd have 1 there and 1 there. If you want 3, you probably have to go quite narrow. So on this little journal, there's 2. That is my base. So when you go to attach that inside cover, you want your little tabs, let me open that up, to be caught under, line all your tops up. You want that to be caught in the building of your book. So let's say there was another folded piece going on the back here. So that little guy's caught there. So I tend to put, because I like to decorate my tabs, I need to know where it's going to disappear in behind fabric or the cover elements. Now, what I do then is hold the horses on all of this business, the extra, take your little tabs, and that is your actual visible tab. The rest disappears in behind the making of your book. So you could put some extra fabric here, you can stitch into it. So I put some green fabric over that whole tab and it actually disappears, but you could do scrappy bits, stitch it, whatever you want. And then when this is ready to go, you've got to have these open because like I just showed you, it is sandwiched. One would go on the front with some glue. That one's there, ready for this little fellow that we tore to sit over it, and it's captured. That one goes to the front, like so, and that's captured. So all you're seeing then is, let's assume that that is the pretty fabric that goes over your tab, top and bottom. So when you open it up, you would see, it's fiddly. I can't really move forward with the gluing because I'd want to stitch there. You've got little peekaboos of fabric, lace, whatever. So that's the basics of how I create a little stitching journal that's not too big. Now you can go and get bigger books. I've got bigger stitching journals that I started when Rachel and Sarah kicked off the Roxy Creations projects, the Journal of Stitchery, and they are Mexican cookbooks. They give me a bigger space to work with. They're probably more in line with the size of Jennifer's book, but maybe a little bit wider and a little bit shorter. A really good space to collage. But for this project, this is perfect. Okay, so that's the start of another little journal. I'm just going to put that aside now. We're going to assume that that's done. And here we are back with our little stitchery. Now the actual pages, once you've got your book made, the actual pages is more calico. Now you can double it or just have single pieces that are stitched into your spine. These are your signatures. I tend to have 2 pieces come together so that when I stitch my work in, I can hide the attachment process. So this little piece is just a blank little one there ready to be snipped out and stitched on. So this would become a Jennifer creation. Then I come back to my journal, and like you can see that it's tacked into position. So it's like preparing the base, if that makes sense. So I know I can grab this book, go away for a long weekend, and the base is there. As for what happens on this little piece of fabric, who knows? I might go to a thrift store and buy some random bits and create something. They're in here ready to roll, so I don't have to think. Then I'd come back and attach it when it's completed. I'd attach this side, and now this is all my stitching. This can come together to create a page. And then the same over here. There's my two little workplaces. So if they were coloured, you'd really see. So pretend that's coloured, this is coloured, and then underneath it is the calico signature. Then I just stitch them in to the spine. So that spine is holding for me. See, this one's full, this signature. Oh, no, it's not. We've still got, let me get here. We've still got a page that could go here. So let's pretend that's a pretty page. That would go there. That's full then. Gives you 4 pieces of work stitched into the spine, like so. Okay, and because this spine is generous, because I don't know how thick the book's going to get, I can actually stitch in additional signatures if I need to. But that space there, which is not quite an inch, might be needed because something got quite intensely stitched here that might need just that little bit of space. So at the moment, I have 1 signature, 2 signatures in my little book. You see that? And there's the cover. But I could add another signature here, another one there, and another one there. Depends on my work. It might be just 1 in the middle. It might be 1 here and 1 here and nothing in the middle. I'd like to give myself just that little bit of flexibility. Okay, what else did I need to I think that's it. I think we can get stitching. How long did I waste on that? It's not a waste, but 20 minutes, that's all right. What I want to do now is, because we have Jennifer's new book, I want to do a landscape one so we can really get into the Jennifer mood. So this little tie, in the process of sandwiching this piece on, I caught a little bit of seam binding. It's just caught in there. And that then allows me to tie it. So when this piece was attached to the cover, this is just that blank piece that I've had the fold here, I also caught that there. If you forget, don't panic, because this craft glue with a bit of gentle encouragement, you could lift that, poke the ribbon in. But if you didn't want to do that, let's say this is a piece of stitched Jennifer, it's going into your journal. You could catch then your little tie. You could catch this little tie, and maybe then the tie, you'll know what colours here and you might want to coordinate it. So don't panic if you don't have something to hold your page closed. At the end of the day, you don't need it as well. It does just sit there as part of your book. You could make this even longer. You could have it concertina. You could have a piece of fabric that concertinaed like so. So you'd have a piece here, pull it out. You could then flip it this way. So the covers are a lot of fun. You can do all sorts with them. All right, no, what am I doing? Stay focused, girl. So we need a base, because I haven't got the base for this piece. So I was hoping this one would do the trick, and I think it will. Bit of a scrap. Something to sit under my stitching, and it's just that calico. I think this was from a opportunity store too. I think it's was a bag that I saw and just broke it down. You pick up some random stuff, don't you? It's not exactly square, but I'm okay with that because it's just the substrate. So if I was preparing the journal, I might have a piece of this sitting in there. So when I went on that long weekend, I flip it open, thank you very much, pop this away, and I've got my piece to work on. So that's sort of the theory behind prepping internal bases ready. So I know my piece needs to be this height and this. So that's my boundaries. Now I start looking for morsels to build a base. So I have here, let Let me just make a space. I've got this unit in my room where I categorise all of my bits and pieces. It's like a pull-out little basket. This one is neutrals, so I'm hoping there'll be something yummy in there. I've got some colours. It's like a kaleidoscope of previous projects. And I've also got just a lacy one, just random, goodness knows what's in there. Oh my goodness, the more you look, the more you, oh, there's a clip. See, this is how things just, where did all my clips go? That's where they go. So there's all sorts in there, the wooden bits and who knows. Anyway, stay focused, girl. Let's get the base down. Now, I noticed in here, just then, there's this piece of linen. Oh, I love that stuff too. A little bit of mustard. A girl loves mustard. That's a pair of shorts. Okay. It's random stuff. So this is a bit of vintage linen. I might bring that down the bottom here. No, I don't know. Do I leave it up the top? It's a nice... Maybe I'll put that at the top because I want to build up this gap. And I love that stitched seam. Nice morsel for another day. Then we've got this. This was a table runner, I think. I'm going to just trim it off there. It'll neaten it up. So I'm just laying down random fabric. I don't know what I'm stitching. I don't know my colour palette yet. But I'm just going to hang around in the neutral department because then I can do anything. That is going to set a bit of a theme. But that's okay. Yeah, I like that. Look at that. It's a bit of a slope. A mountain in the distance. I don't know. Let's grab my little pins. So after I work out my base here, it will be a case of invisible stitch it down so it doesn't move, and then I've got a nice neutral. Look how high that, oh no, that's okay because that was, oh, I panicked for a minute. I thought, oh, I'm way up, but that's okay. That fell out. It's a bit thin because I can see that. What's about this mustard? I like the mustard, but I don't know if I want a big piece of it. It's really dictating. So as I said, this was a piece of fabric from some shorts. I spotted it across the room and it's like, oh, is that a camel over there? So I'm just going to put in a piece of that next. Not a big piece because it really does. I've got the book sitting here glancing at this. Like I love this copper, the gold. And then there's pinks in there. Like, oh my goodness, I tell you. So we've got another little piece there, just building up the background. Got a bit of a gap over here that we need to do something with. So I'll put the mustard back, leave that out. Let's have a little rummage in here. There's a bit of camphor quilt. It's here. I think that's a Rachel piece, that one. Don't mind that. Oh, that's nice. Not a lover of that, but that's nice. Like that. So just glancing back at my little book, like colour scheme wise, I'm still dancing with the colour scheme. So I sort of want the feminine touch in because of his lovely wife back in England. this botanist. So that's where this little bit of lace crocheting comes in. You can just see the ship's about to pull out from the port and he's racing through her glory box with a pair of scissors, creating a snippet of bits. She'll be going to her hankies and going, why is there a chunk out of my hanky? I wonder if I could tear this. Yes. Just about not only covering the hole, but just a pop of interest over there. Someone there. Nice and thready and messy. Remember, the boats are rocking. We're out at sea. We've been promised a new island to explore, so the old fella's in the cabin rocking away at the ocean, and he's madly putting together another page in his journal so he can go and stitch instead of sketch. That's just sitting up there. I'll get it under control when I do my stitching down, but I think I need that up. There. Just feels puckered under there, but oh, come on. That is really pushing back at me. There must be a bit of sizing starch in that old tea towel. I'll get it right when I stitch it down, but it's bugging me. I can feel it. Okay, so we've got our little blocky background. What else can we do? I don't really want to pull this apart because I'll lose that beautiful stitching. So I need to disguise the fact. So this is where your pieces get really chunky because you might add in a piece of quilt. So yeah, having that extra space in your spine, because you just never know where your adventure is going to take you, and to have your journal restrict you because your spine is too narrow. If you sort of have a feel for your stitching and your style, you can go ahead and make your book and you're ready to roll. But if you're a little bit unsure, don't worry about your book as such just yet, because you know the size of your work. So maybe just gather together fabrics that you like, your book, cover it with your basics, the calico or the muslin. And as long as you've got that nearby when you're piecing together, you know, a little project, like when we did this front piece, you know your sizing. So you might have all your pieces stitched, ready to go, and then you create your book. It's you'll find your way. It's getting chunky now. Now I think we need some lace. I think we've got enough chunky bits, so put that away. And let's grab the bucket of lace. Oh, I wish I had a bigger space. I wish the camera would give me more room. Let's come up a little bit. Let's see what we can find in here. There'll be something in here. What's in here? No, I think I want it finer. That's cool, but that's way too chunky. Keep nibbling into that piece. Here we go. I just want something a little bit softer. It's very blocky, so I just want a swoosh of something fine just to push everything back. Do I take him out? So there's my base. So now it's just about stitching that down so it becomes my piece of fabric. And this, maybe I do a smaller piece. If that was cut down, maybe I continue it up there. Oh, I like that. Feels like it's heading in that direction. Yeah, I feel like I've framed it a little. I'm going to move that up to there. Probably don't need it as big as what I've got, but it will do. Don't overthink it. Just plonk it down and go for it. Got threads everywhere. Does this piece come up over that piece? Now, I like how that's a plonked on piece. Oh my goodness. The technical speech of it all. I remember at university when I was doing the art section of my, I did half a teaching degree. So I experienced quite a few semesters, but across many topics. And in amongst there was an art section in which I was like totally enthralled in. I was like, gosh, I think I picked the wrong degree. I should have been an art teacher. And, there was all this technical speech, you know, formally trained. And now I don't think I remember any of it. And it's like my own speech, which is probably annoys the hang out of most listening. There we go. I think that's it for now. So now it's just a case of, what about that bit? Oh, yeah, let's just do it. It's like I've gone chunky and now I'm softening. Yeah. Yep. Okay, just when you think you're done, you spot something else out of the corner of your eye. So as for the piece and the background, what I would do at this stage before I get too carried away is actually grab my little journal and slide it into the gap. I think it's too high. I just have a feeling I've got bigger than Ben-Hur, which is just so typical. Right, so it's the landscape in here. See what I mean? That just feels like it's got too big. Oh, that's okay. There's the top. So what I do now is fold it as if it was closing. Let's pin it there. So we're assuming it's now stitched into position. So we've got some little pins gripping it down there. There. I'm happy with the complement to the page here. Happy with that. So that then would crease and close. Awesome. And see how we've got a little bit of bits hanging out the bottom here? I'm okay with that. If it gets to the point where I'm like, I don't like it, I can always trim that back because I know I won't be stitching down there, but I like how that texture is peeking through. If anything, it's complementing this piece. So I'm okay with that. It's quite chunky. You can see how quickly your spine will fill out like that. And yeah, you think, oh gosh, I'm going to need more signatures. But no, once you start adding in these back pieces, maybe I might get another one in, but I don't think so. I think 2 signatures would be it. And it'll be, yeah, it's gorgeous. I love it. I love this type of stitching. And little journals are such a great way to keep your work. All right, I think we're there, guys. So now I'm going to think about what we're going to do to stitch it down. As in invisible stitch, yes, tick, that'll hold it, get rid of the pins. And for the newbies, invisible stitch is what we used to call back in the day tacking. So if you were unsure if your sleeve would fit into your blouse, Grandma would tack it in to see if she needed to make any more adjustments. So coming forward now into the world of slow stitch, we don't really want to see the big tacking stitch, because it would have been, Grandma would have jumped across and then the same underneath, come back up, you know, and then she'd remove it. We're using the tacking stitch, which has been shortened up a little, to look like there's nearly a dimple, like a quilted look to the piece. And that is whether you want to go row by row across, and then you get this tiny little stitch on the front, and you can make it as big as you want. So that now holds it, but on the back, I jump across half an inch. Oh, Reg just bit me. Good on you, Reg. I got glue on my fingers. Look how bent Reg is. I tell you, he was a workhorse. So, yeah, what was I saying? Little itty-bitty stitches to hold all your elements down. I like my background to be solid. So whether I then come across and put some camphor stitch through, so rows and rows of running stitch, could do. Oh, I just had an idea. I've got some Japanese sashiko stencils. I haven't done that for a little while. What if I do? See, this stitching here from the quilt, where someone has stitched before me, has given me an idea for here to do a subtle design. Haven't even got to the bit where we Jennifer stitch it. That's the beauty of this slow stitch. There's so many stages that you can thoroughly enjoy, and then you get into whatever designer that you want to follow, whether it's Tilly Rose or Jennifer, or, you know, there's just so many phases to the step. Let me just have a look at the time. 40 minutes, beauty. We've got 20 minutes left. Let me just get this little piece of quilt stitched down. Then I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to grab my sashiko stencils and see if there's something there that could form an interesting background for us. Something a bit floral. My botanist has swung by Japan, it would seem, and was influenced by the ancient stitchings. Possible, like they got around on those tall ships. Okay, I'm running out of thread here. I might then wash my fingers too, because they feel tacky. Oh, come on. Come on, Reg. Stay with me, son. There's a knot. Oh, I've pierced the thread. Okay, Reg is chucking a tanty. He's jiggered the thread. Good on you, Reg. He's pierced the thread underneath, therefore causing that to have a knot. It's just tacking stitch, so I'm okay with that. I don't need to go back and knot that off. I've just scooted down that edge and across there. If you want to make your tacking stitch a different colour, you can. That can be really cute to have. What was someone said ages ago? I saw someone said they love to see the journey the stitcher took. So to see the tacking stitch is just another element in the layers of the work. And I thought, you know, that's really cool, because when we look at photos of really old work, samplers and things like that, you can see the journey that they took. And if you saw your tacking stitch, when all of our work ends up in a museum in 400 years' time, there's going to be the era of the Roxy Journal of Stitchery. They'll be thinking, what happened in society that all this work appears? And you have shown your tacking stitch. Well, then the historians will go, oh, I see what she's done. She stitched it down. Then she's done that. Then she's done that. So it can be a nice decorative element to your work. Okay, so we've got this stitched. That's good. I can get rid of a couple pins. So how many stitches you do is entirely up to you. So I'm just going to stop there, put reg up the top there, take out those 2 pins because that's adhered. But I do need to have reg scooter through here to attach that and then work his way back through all of that. But I'm going to pause the video, wash my hands, and grab out some stencils. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. So my iPad went flat, so I had to charge it again. So that gave me time to invisible stitch everything. So it is now one piece of cloth with all sorts of little elements on it. Now the idea I had was to create a bit of an interesting quilted background. So I've just grabbed out my sashiko stencils. So I've got them from different companies over the years. There's all sorts of different qualities here of stencil. You know, some are beautifully cut and are easy to use. Others are a little bit rough where the machine has cut into them and sort of left a rough little edge. So there's all sorts of them out there on the market. So the theory is this little bit of stitching here has inspired me to do a little bit more of that in the background through this zone. So I just wanted to have a look at the designs. I've used this one before, very floral-like. So that's a definite possibility. But I thought I might just look through some of these. This diamond. See, that one's not bad either. Got some little dragonflies and then a very grid-like one. Got wave, definitely not waves. There's a couple waves here. Not waves. I don't think that one. Not dragonflies. So it's either this one, that one, or that one. Or I stay with the floral. I do like the floral, but I do it all the time. Let's just open a couple more. I haven't even used these. So let's maybe use something that's... See, these are good because they come in 2 different sizes. No, if that was smaller, I'd consider it. Like if that was more petite. So it's definitely not that one. It's got a bit of a Parisian feel. I'll put it away later. This one here, possible. It's very geometric, but I don't think the star, I'm just glancing across to the star and no. They've all got actual Japanese names here as well, but I'm not going to insult the culture by trying to pronounce it with my Australian country drawl. No, see, that's not right either. No, see, it's very free form, so I don't think that is right. So I'm back to this one. Was there any others? No, it's going to be this one. So funny. Thought it'd be something different. So what I'm thinking is sneaking it into this corner here for a start. Now I'm just going to draw the little lines. So you can use chalk, you can use water-soluble pencil, whatever you prefer. It's all okay. There's so many options out there now. So I'm just going to draw my lines. Then I need to find a thread. Won't matter that it disappears into there a little bit. I and it needs to come out again. Because of the style of the stencil, this pen, this heat-soluble pen, this friction pen is good because it's got a point on it. So I can get down in there. If I ever see this, oh, bing bong. If I ever see, I might just turn my phone off. My husband's moving around outside and the security sensors are picking him up. So it'd be bing bong, bing bong. What was I saying? If I ever see this in another stencil brand that isn't as rough around the edges, I'd grab it because I've used it probably 3 or 4 times now, so I'm guessing it's not doing much to my pen here. It's probably damaging it. There is a metal edge there, but if I was using a pencil, I think it'd be a hang of a mess. It's lovely when you can bring other pieces into your work, like if you've got some Japanese stencils, pull them out. And that goes for stencils in general. Like for those of you who've been doing journals for some time, you've probably got stencils that could be used in this fashion to give you an outline, like a shadow line in the background. I've been watching the series Outlander. I got into it years ago and I think I did like the 5 seasons, one after the other. 4 seasons, one after the other, and absolutely hooked. Like, who doesn't like to watch Jamie? I tell you, that actor, he's a national treasure. The series is now, I think, up to 7 or 8. And I've just let them sit there for probably a year and a half because I want to do them in chunks. It's a very complex story. And I find it's definitely one that I've got to watch it one after the other. Yeah, there we go. So I might just drift it down into there. So I'm going to connect in there and just do one more. So, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I love how they've twisted it into history. You know, they're over in America now in their journey. So it's just that it's this years prior to when Britain, who is in America, I think, and they own the place, is about to get a bit of a pushback. And I think it takes 60 years, it's a 60-year war until the crown finally leaves America and United States becomes, you know, its nation on its own. I think I've got the history. I probably don't. Go and watch the show or go and watch a documentary. And knowing, you know, series like those types of things, they probably pinch little elements and then fabricate the rest. You know, you just don't know. That's really good. That'll be so much more subtle once I... Do I need another one up there? No, just leave it at that, girl. So we're sort of, the Boston Tea Party's just happened. The Crown thinking they're tromping all over America and it's going to be a part of the Commonwealth, but no, I think they're all, and in amongst it are the Jacobites, sort of, who fled Scotland. It's just such an interesting story. So I've got to the last season now. So they're on their way back to Scotland. And, yeah, back to Lellybrook, the original home for Jamie and his sister. So, it's good. I think I've got 4 episodes to go. And it was like midnight last night and I thought, no, save them. Don't keep going. So I've just grabbed this one. I glanced across my table and I looked at a couple others, but this feels too shiny. There's good old DMC. Just a crew. Nice. It's too shiny. This is an old girl that I found in an op store. and it's, oh, I'm going to miss it when it goes. That is close to what the lady used there. Probably got a bit of a shine, but I don't mind that because it needs to hold its own in amongst all this. So the plan now is to stitch this and then iron it. And I will have a subtle quilted detail in the background. You wouldn't think that that piece of quilt has a blue and a red fabric tucked in behind there. And there we go. So, gee, we've covered a lot in this episode. I sat down to get straight into Jennifer, and then you open your little journal up and you realise you don't have a page prep, so you've got to do that. So that then turns into a quick little how I prep my actual journal. Okay. I guess I might toddle off and stitch this down. So the next video will be starting the Jennifer inspired stitchery as a salute to her new book. And I'm not sure when you'll see it. I sort of have these little random projects just because I feel like doing something else other than the big cornerstone projects that are trundling along as well. So you never know what you're going to get when you turn onto my channel. What's she up to today routine? Yeah, that's good. That feels like it fits with, gosh, I hope I'm recording. Yeah, I am. Feels like it fits with it. So yeah, go and have a look at your stencils. And before you get into the piece that you're actually stitching and you're at the building your background stage, yeah, have a play with your stencils. Imagine your little journal. Say my little journal had all of the background pages already done. Every page had a little background sitting there waiting to go. That's what these little pieces would be. So wouldn't that be just gorgeous, just having these neutral rambling pages, and then you could then pick up the piece and do some stitching or some thread painting or like that there. That was a piece of doily that had that already, and then I built onto it. That was thread painting. So yeah, that's, oh, you can do so much with these little morsels of stitchery. There we go. Imagine a log cabin. I build a little log cabin and then stitch Jennifer's in techniques over the top. Well, that'd have to be something. Maybe the botanist went to the sewing room and stole one of her log cabins. Can you imagine it? She's now gone to her sewing room to continue working on her log cabin quilt, and there's a square missing. We should do that. We should make yeah, let's do that in another video, another day. I better write a note, stick it in the little journal, otherwise I'm going to forget. A log cabin as our background, because the botanist stole one of the elements. I can just picture it. I can just picture her looking for it. I need 62 log cabins, and I've only got 61. How is this possible? It's sailing on a boat with the botanist. I'm going to try and roll that through. This is so thick, this linen, that it's not the easiest fabric. So I think it's going to be a bit of stab stitch here. Up and down, which is okay. It's slow for a reason. I'll just finish this last petal. I've lost track on how long this video is, so you probably all nodded off by now. I must write log cabin on a page. I'm going to do it now, guys. So when I pick this up in a few weeks' time, we'll have a little log cabin. I don't have a piece here ready because I took it for something. I don't know what happened there. Where's my pen? There it is. So that there. There we go. We've had an idea, we've written it in the journal. Save that for a rainy day. I like the log cabin that's on my pink jacket, where it's just scrappy bits of random textures stitched in a random way. So not on a sewing machine log cabin, it's a hand stitched log cabin. A slow stitched background. All right, last stitch. Knot that off, and then I'm going to toddle off, find myself my series, finish those last 4 episodes. There we go. I'll leave that needle in there because it works a treat. And that's the cotton I need, ready for my homework. All right, guys, thanks for joining me. Yeah, see you in the next video. Bye.